Elbert Pike was famous for the Green Way, the Scottish Rite. But he was also someone that was associated with the Ku Klux Klan. So here I'm going to read a part of the book. It says, Pike was said to be an active member of the Arkansas branch of the Ku Klux Klan, a movement founded in 1865 in Pulaski, Tennessee by 6 Confederate Army veterans. As of today, there is no public records of his involvement with the KKK. However, the book Ku Klux Klan, written by Walter Fleming in 1905, states that Pike was the chief judicial officer of the Klan. Also, the authentic history of the Ku Klux Klan in 1865 to 77, written by Susan Lawrence Davis in 1924, cites Pike as the grand dragon of the Klan for the state of Arkansas and chief judicial officer appointed by the Klan founder and Confederate General Nathan Bedford Forrest, right? So this is a part of his ancestry. So it's showing you that there is no contradiction with him being a Freemason, him being a Scottish Rite Freemason, and being a Klan member at the same time. So now when you're talking about Muslim sons, this is another degree that a person, once you enter into the lodge, that you can petition to become a part of, which is called the Shriners. So I wanted to show you this. These are images of early Klan costumes. They weren't just white. You see this costume right here? You see the crescent and the moon on it? Could you see that, y'all? Right here, you see the crescent and the moon over this Klan member's heart. This is what their early costumes look like. The ritual book that the Klan used was called the Quran, which is like the Quran. The reason why I have this image right here is because it has the skull and the crossbones right here, which is a Templar symbol. The Knights Templars use that as their flag, which is called the Jolly Roger flag, the skull and crossbones. Pirate ships use the same exact flag, which Templars oftentimes use. I have all of this in the book to document this. So Quran is a play on the Islamic word Quran, which is the holy book of the Muslims. This is a Shriner. This is what you call a Muslim son. You see the crescent, the moon, and the sword above the top, and you see it says Islam. This is one of the decals or a Shriner patch that they oftentimes put on their clothing. You see the Masonic symbol in the place where the star usually is. You see the crescent moon and the sword above it. So I'm showing you that there's no contradiction with some of these people who belong to these lodges, and at the exact same time that they're Confederate soldiers or they're part of the Klan. I showed you that in the video with Rosewood, right? Here's a sticker that I saw on a window of a vehicle. The Masonic symbol between 2 Confederate flags. This is the Scottish Rite headquarters in DC. And they have a plaque dedicated in honor of Elbert Pike, who was associated with the Klan in DC. This is the official symbol of the Scottish Rites, which is a double-headed eagle, which means that it's a symbol of guarding the agenda or guarding the different perspectives of East and West, or being sovereign over East and West. All of this is in the book that I showed you, right? So now I'm mentioning that because in this lesson, there is a relationship between these people who identify as Freemasons or Shriners, and also what we've been talking about in terms of eating the wrong foods and fear being planted in us. When you go all the way back to the student enrollment, it tells you that in the 1930s, the population of colored people in the wilderness of North America was 103 million, right? Right here, where it asks you how many Muslim sons are there in North America, it says approximately 3 million. So they're pointing out a segment of the population. Also, when you do research on the Klan, you find out that in the 1930s, from the 1920s, you had membership skyrocketed. By the 1930s, you had a card carrying membership that was around 3 million people. So again, there is a relationship between people who have this Confederate perspective and also people who are joining the lodge. There's no contradiction for some of those people. So now the next lesson.